Hello and welcome back to the Conversations with Kristi podcast. Today's conversation is one that stayed with me long after we stopped recording. I'm joined by Brooke McIntosh, the woman behind the Just One More movement, who quite literally ran around Australia after surviving profound trauma, suicidal ideation, and a moment that forced her to choose whether she would stay or she would go. This isn't a conversation about running. It's a conversation about courage, about mental fitness, about what happens when we stop pretending we're okay and take just one more step, one more breath, and one more day. Brooke speaks honestly about suicide, sexual violence, generational trauma, and the quiet moments where everything could have ended but didn't. If you've ever felt tired, overwhelmed, or like you're carrying more than anyone realizes, this conversation is for you. Just be mindful that we are talking about suicide in this podcast, so if this triggers anything in you, please consider skipping. But there is resources listed below in the show notes if you need it. Let's go listen to what Brooke has to say. Hello and welcome back. I'm so excited this morning because I'm talking to Brooke McIntosh, and I hope I said that right. Brooke, I watched you run around Australia, and all I could keep thinking when I saw you running around Australia was, fuck that.
Oh, don't worry. I was thinking much the same.
Like, honestly, every day, and like I saw your blisters, I saw you like all of the things that you're going through, and I'm thinking, what makes you get up every morning? And look, I've jumped ahead in the conversation. Let's get to that in a minute. But Brooke, tell the listeners, like, literally what the hell were you thinking when you decided to run around Australia? Like, Brooke, honestly, you amazed me. Like, I just don't know how you did it day in, day out. But what drove you to, like, literally start running, like, training and planning to run around Australia?
Yeah, it's I mean, I still don't even exactly know what I was thinking every single day. Every single day, I was literally, the alarm would go off at 6 a.m. and it was like, fuck this, not again. But I still did it. I still got up and went just one more. And for me, just one more is like became my lifeline in 2022. Just one more became my lifeline. And it's how I live my life every single day moving forward now. It saved my life. It's why I ran around Australia. And now I get to do what I get to do. And it's by taking just one more step, breath, and day. And I believe us as humans, we can overcome and achieve anything. And I'm absolutely living proof of that. So the whole run around Australia really stemmed from my own deepest pains. In August 2022, I was going through the depths of suicidal ideation myself. And it was a really challenging time in my life. And this week leading up to August was when I was actually planning to take my own life. And it just so happened in that week, I call it an absolute miracle now. But I was driving along the highway going 100 kilometers an hour and I got T-boned by a truck.
Whoa.
Now, in that moment, I actually wanted to go. I wanted my time to end. But upon waking up and lying on the hospital bed, I realized that it wasn't my time. And I realized that there's so much more to life, but I first had to choose courage myself and take just one more step. And lying on the hospital bed, I made a commitment to myself to do exactly that. I was like, okay, you're not okay. Everyone thinks you are okay, because I was the woman who was great at pretending. I was great at masking. I was great at saying, I'm okay, I'm all good, or I'll be good, or nothing's wrong with me. How about you? And I was the woman always checking in on everyone else. But yeah, I was crumbling internally. So this moment in August 2022 just really sticks out for me as my massive turning point. And I was working mining and construction at the time, and I went back to site. And it was so ironic that when I went back to site after my car accident, the day I went back to site, they had a toolbox meeting. And in that toolbox meeting, it was Are You Okay Day? And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me right now? And I just remember listening to, God bless him, the safety rep, talking about Are You Okay Day? And he's like, it's okay not to be okay. Like, make sure you check in on your mates because you never know what they're going through. And I'm sitting there like crumbling and squirming and anxiety riddled. And my internal dialogue was just horrendous. And I was listening to him and there was a pause and I just counted down from 3 and I was like, you know what, I'm not okay. And if I don't speak up right now, then I don't think I ever will be, because this is the time and the place that I need to speak up. So I spoke up in that moment. I literally counted down from 3. I was like 3, 2, 1. I was holding onto my seat and I was like, just speak. And my voice was shaking harder. But I spoke and I shared about what happened on R&R and where I was at physically, but where I was more importantly at mentally. And what I seen was the ripple effect. And after I shared my vulnerable share, after that, I literally had 20 blokes come up to me and say, thank you so much for being so courageous and vulnerable and sharing what's going on internally for you. I'm experiencing divorce. I'm experiencing financial hardship. I'm experiencing hardship with not seeing my kids, all of these different things. I've lost a friend to suicide that I was just like, what? But it just started these conversations and it literally just come back to me having just one more conversation. So I went on and I was still working, driving the big dump trucks. And every single morning I made the commitment to myself to check in on myself first in the mirror and change my own internal dialogue and changed my own mental fitness and focused really on cleaning that up. And then every day I committed to having just one more conversation with someone else on site. And then checking in on them after I know and I can wholeheartedly say that I was okay, would I then go in and check on someone else? So I started doing that and I just seen this ripple effect. And I remember laying awake in my donga at 2 a.m. it was one morning, just couldn't sleep. And I was like, this is so cool that I'm having these conversations and that I'm seeing this change in these blokes on site. But how cool would it be to amplify that? And I don't know why, but this was literally in October 2022, so 2 months after my car accident. I was never a runner. I never said, I'm going to run a marathon or anything. And that night, I literally said to myself, I'm going to run from Pilbara to Perth. And I'm like, I don't even know if I can run 5Ks, so how the hell can I run 1,600 kilometres?
I know, it's a long trip.
It's a long trip in a car. I've done the car trip maybe like 5 times. I've done the plane trip multiple times. But in a car, I hate driving it, let alone who am I to run it?
Yeah.
But I just set my mind to it and I cleaned up my mental fitness and I focused on my training and I focused on my nutrition and I focused on my why. And my why was to prove that pain never gets the last say, that us as individuals, we need to be more courageous and more vulnerable. And that's how we build connection with ourselves and more importantly with our communities. And through that run that I did in August 2023, so a year on from my car accident, it was massive. And I called it Impact to Ignite our FIFO workers to speak up about their mental health. And I did that. But it was through that run that I realized that it wasn't just FIFO workers, it wasn't just mining and construction. I was having conversation with truck drivers on the road, holiday makers on the road, emergency services on the road. And I was just like, what? Like everyone actually has these internal demons that no one wants to talk about.
Yeah.
And then when I crossed the finish line in August 2023, I was like, why am I stopping here? Like, what's just one more state? And that's when I was like, I'm going to go just one more state and see how far I can take this mission because it's not something that just Western Australia suffers with. It's humans in general. And I truly believe that if we've got a heart, if we've got a brain, and we're here on earth, we all have mental health, we all have mental fitness, but what are we doing every single day to help it? What are we doing every single day to make it better for ourselves?
Yeah.
We shut up, we don't talk, and we don't speak about our feelings. No, that's not what I believe. I'm like, well, if you want bigger biceps, you're going to bicep curl. So if you want a stronger mind, you've got to do your mental fitness reps. And that starts by talking and by being courageous enough to share. That's really what drove me for the whole way around Australia. Every single morning, I was just like, it never gets the last say. It doesn't matter how much I'm physically hurting right now. It doesn't matter how much I'm mentally hurting right now. Like there's people out there who are on the edge and I'm doing it for those guys.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me just tell you that I think I understand where you're coming from. Like when you're you're up at 2 a.m. and you get this idea and you're like, where the fuck did that come from? Because it's not from you. It's from a higher power in my mind. It's like from the universe going, this is what you need next, and you just followed the path and look at you go, right? But I can believe because I worked in emergency services, the blokes there and the women there, we didn't share what was going on for us. And I'm like you, I would be like checking in on, I knew this guy was having trouble in his marriage or this person was struggling with something at the moment or their kids were going through something. And so, those are the people who need us to check in on them, but then we don't check in on ourselves.
Mm.
And I mean, I'm not sure how much of you know, but I left the police with PTSD. I had severe anxiety. I had depression within 3 years of starting in the police. So, I remember, and you're just one more, slogan, belief is kind of like when I was going through the pits of it. And when you were talking about it, I was like, oh, that feels like me. Like when I was going through PTSD and I was just like, it would be better off if I wasn't here. And I just don't want to deal with this anymore. And I just can't do this anymore. But then, like in the back of my mind, because I had enough knowledge and wisdom about, mental health, that I was just like, this is just a moment. This is just, it will get better. Like knowing that, it is about persistence. It is about resilience. It is about toughness. It is about reminding yourself, because it does get better eventually. And a lot of young people, especially, but even us, any age, if you don't have that knowledge and belief, you think that it won't. And so that's when people take the ultimate, next step. And so Just One More is so beautifully, it's perfect if you ask me, because Just One More is just one more step, just one more day, just one more conversation. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, exactly that. And for the ones who are literally like right on the edge, I've been there, and honestly can say I'm a massive survivor, and I'm so grateful I'm still here, because now I get to be a voice for those on the edge who haven't yet maybe found their courage to speak up. But when you're on the edge, you literally feel like you don't belong.
Mm-hmm.
You literally feel like the world's better off without you. You literally feel like there's no other way out of this pain, this misery, when in actual fact there is.
Yeah.
And this is why I believe it's so important to have courageous, vulnerable conversations, because we're not, you're not automatically given PTSD like this.
No.
It's accumulation of small little traumatic events throughout our lives that build up, build up, build up. Or there could be a massive big T, for example, like my massive car accident. Me driving next to trucks is like, I just don't really vibe with that. I still do it now, but me running next to trucks, that helped me combat that PTSD and that fear. But also, I wasn't born with being scared of trucks. It was a massive trauma event that happened in my life. And I think, especially in emergency services, I'm sorry, but you deal with so much stuff on the frontline stuff. But then where do you go after that? And who helps you after that? Yes, there might be EAP places or support systems in place, but
you got to put your hand up to go and use them. Otherwise, you're just dealing with it on your own. Sadly, and I think it's the same within mining and all of these, really where people are scared to be vulnerable, or maybe vulnerability isn't shown often enough. In my case, like everyone around me was like, just go get drunk. Let's just go get drunk.
And it's not the answer. Like I became addicted to drugs and alcohol because that's what I've seen throughout my life. My mum was working FIFO since I was 12 years old, and that's when I fully took on the responsibility to help raise my younger siblings, and I took on everyone else's responsibility as my own. And therefore all my own needs become last. And I was like, nope, got to show up for everyone else, got to provide for everyone else, got to get my younger siblings to school. Mum's away, I'll run the household right now. And then my mum would be away, but then when she would come home, she would be like, FIFO is amazing, it's the best escape for me. And then she would drink 2 bottles of vodka a night, and I would have to pick her up and put her to bed. So then naturally, as I was growing up, I'm almost 30 now, but in my teens and early 20s, I became addicted to drugs and alcohol. Because I never grew up knowing what my feelings were. I never grew up knowing that it was okay to cry, or it was okay to be sad. It was okay to have a down day. It was like, nope, where's the vodka? We don't like this stuff.
Yeah, let's not feel it.
Let's not feel it. And I'm like, no, if you want to heal it, you have to feel it. And if you're not courageous enough to feel it, well, you're never truly going to heal it. So
yeah, and it does take an immense amount of courage to go through. And this is the thing, everyone has down days. Everyone has trauma and My daughter, actually, she's just about to turn 18, and she said, I overheard her telling her boyfriend that, trauma actually makes you stronger. And I was like,
I love that.
And she goes, everyone needs bad stuff to happen because it makes you stronger. And I was like, well, we don't want bad stuff to happen at the hands of other people if we can help it, right? Because I'm talking prevention education, and I don't want people to go through that type of trauma. But I understood what she was trying to say. She was trying to talk about the fact that if we don't go through anything and we're protected from everything, we actually don't build up mental resilience, right? We
Yeah.
can't get through anything on our own because we're used to having someone protect us or not have to deal with it. So it's kind of like a catch-22. We don't want it to happen, but also we do want certain things to happen because we need that resilience. Because if you hadn't have gone through the accident and everything like that, you wouldn't be here today, and you wouldn't have had that mental resilience to run around Australia.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. And also on the flip side of that, if I knew some of these techniques that I now know, or if I knew about courage and that it's
Mm.
actually courageous to use your voice and to speak up and say no when things aren't in alignment or things feel off, my God, it would have saved me a world when I hurt. But also, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. So it's
Exactly.
but
It's
it
a
comes back down
catch-22.
to it's a yeah, catch-22, but it comes back down to choosing courage to heal from the trauma and then move forward with it, because I also believe that if we never heal from the trauma, we become like a brick wall. And
Yeah.
no one can hug nor love a brick wall when your walls are up so high and you're not allowing anyone to come in or anyone to see you for all that you are. You're never really going to feel the depths of the love that everyone is worthy of.
Mm.
Mm.
Ooh, that one hit hard. Sorry. Because I'm a bit of a wall at times. It's like a protection mechanism from my childhood, which my mum was
Yeah.
an alcoholic, my dad was an alcoholic, and all of the things that went on with that. And so, like you learned to just lift your chin up, get on with it. No one cares about you not being okay. So just get on with
Yeah.
it. So it's a really tough one because you have to face those things. You have to face them, realize that they weren't okay, that,
Yeah.
it's not okay that what happened to you. Yeah, you can forgive those people because maybe they only did what they knew. But at the same time, you have to forgive yourself for not knowing better and doing like as a child, you can't do anything else. So you just had to
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah, and I say this now, I'm like, okay, well, now that you know what you know, move with love and wisdom and build your fucking backbone. So, like, move with love, like, through life with love for yourself and love for others and wisdom from your trauma and your learnings that you got, mix them together and build your backbone so no one can fuck you over. No one
Yeah.
can hurt you again. But then you're not completely closed off to the world and all the good that is out there.
Yeah, it's a fine line, right? And I think with regards to your mission, I guess, you started off running from the Pilbara to Perth, which is massive. Like I was thinking about what I've done in my 45 years, and I was thinking, okay, when I was 15, and you'll know where I'm talking about, I rode a horse from Cossack to Port Hedland, 206 kilometres, right? It was a long way, but my horse did most of the work. So I walked I walked a bit when my ass got sore, right?
Yeah.
And then I walked the Cape to Cape in down here in the southwest, and that was 135 kilometers in 5 days. I lost 5 toenails. My shoes didn't fit properly. I was very underprepared. The fact is you ran 14,000 kilometers. 14,000 kilometers, people ran around Australia. I remember there was a part where you got some sort of like massage or like, did you? Oh no, you had an ice bath on the side of the road.
Yeah. Every
You're,
day.
you're having ice baths on the side of the road. And it was just phenomenal. Who was your support crew in that whole process? Because you obviously had to have one.
Yeah, I did. And I was talking to a girlfriend yesterday about the whole support crew, teammates, and all of that stuff. And it's just so funny because at the start, like when I was planning for this run, I had one support crew commit for the whole 6 months. And I was like, yes, this is going to make the mission a little bit easier because your team is everything and everyone and who is around you is everything, right? And I remember before, like 2 weeks before March the 2nd, when I was taking off on the start line, this team member come to me and he's like, so look, I can only do 3 months on the road with you. And I was like,
Oh my gosh.
what? I was like, what do you mean? So Rowan only ended up doing roughly about 2 months, but I got dropped that news like 2 weeks before.
Whoa.
And I had sponsorships pull out 2 weeks before. I had the caravan taken away from us 2 weeks before. So literally in 2 weeks to the start line, I had to organize a brand new car, a brand new caravan to get wrapped and more teammates on the ground. And the way that it happened was no coincidence, bloody random as all hell, the universe providing what I needed at the time. But I had one of my coaches, she's still my coach to this day, one of my coaches, one of her best friends, she was an ex-Defence Force.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I've got time up my sleeve. I'd love to come out. So she ended up coming out and tag teaming with Rowan. So she came out for maybe about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then there was an 8-week block that she couldn't do. Now I was running around Australia for almost 7 months. So there was an 8-week block that she couldn't do. And this is so bizarre, but I was running on the Nullarbor.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, Cam, drove past me and he seen me and he wound down his window. Then he done a U-turn, came back, and he had 2 other guys in the car with him as well. So we get chatting on the side of the road in the middle of the Nullarbor, absolute nothing else around.
Yeah.
And one of his mates was named Dan. And Dan was meant to go back FIFO in a week's time. And I said to Dan, we just clicked off, like talking about mining, what it was like, what his mental health was like what his passions are in life. And then a week later, I was like, just bite the bullet and message him. A week later, I messaged Dan. I'd met him for 20 minutes on the side of the road in the middle of the Nullarbor. And I said, hey, Dan, you want to come out and help support me? And he's like, I'm so down. So I ended up flying Dan out in the middle of nowhere in Victoria it was. And he helped me get from Victoria all the way to the Northern Territory almost. And so it was literally just the power of community and people like putting their hands up and coming out for 2-3 weeks at a time. And honestly, like I really just had to deal with it and make it what it was. And I ended up flying another lady called Suze out, and she joined us for about 3 months. And Grace came out and helped us. Now, she was my photographer. She was meant to be there as my photographer and content creator. She ended up doing that, plus also learning how to drive a manual and tow a caravan in the space of 1 day. I'm not sure if you know of Gibb River.
Yes, I've been on the Gibb River, yes.
Yeah. So I threw her another challenge and I was like, hey, we're going off-road because I just want more adventure and more of a challenge because why not? She'd never driven a caravan, never driven a stick before. And now I've got her towing the caravan while I'm running on the Gibb River Road and she's having to tow it across hundreds of kilometres of corrugation.
I was about to say, when I went on the Gibb River, there was like literally no bitumen and mostly red dirt and corrugation. So I know they've bitumised a little bit more, but honestly, you must have been just covered in red dirt by the end of it because trucks going past, cars going past.
It was so much fun.
People slowing down and like seriously staring at you as they went past, or what?
Yeah, some people would slow down, very courtesy of them, but then others would just keep zooming past. But we had so many families like on that section specifically just follow us continuously. And they're like, we drove past you 2 days ago and it took you 2 days to get to this point. Like, it's so cool to see you here. And then it would just spark the conversation again about what I was doing, running around Australia to break the stigma around mental health and suicide prevention. But what was really cool was we would go into that conversation and then their kids would join in on that conversation. And whenever I would get messages afterwards of like the kids would still remember that moment. Or if the kids drove past like a blue tree, they're like, remember that girl? Or if they see another runner, they're like, remember that girl who... And then that just starts a conversation about mental health, which was, really cool and special.
I just think as a child seeing someone, and look, it just sparks that idea that as humans, we are capable of anything. Like for young people, especially young kids, to see that kind of, I don't know, like that courage, that strength, that perseverance, to see someone else do it, it means you can believe in yourself and see it for yourself. I used to say, especially when I saw families, they were dealing with generational trauma and abuse in their family, or, it was cultural for that culture, or that whole town didn't have much to look forward to because the town had broken down or whatever. I would always think it just takes one person in that space, that one person to get out of, not to get out, to show them that if you can't see it, you can't be it, right? So it just takes one person to get out of, like, to go and make something of themselves, to go and do something courageous like run around Australia. It just takes one person that to show you that it's possible. And so, those kids saw you doing it and they saw something that seems impossible being done. And so, it's going to have an impact for their life.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so true. I seen this really cool visual and I'm absolutely going to recreate it. But it was a whole line of matchsticks lined up and every matchstick was on fire. And then you removed one matchstick back and then the fire stopped.
Yeah.
And that's literally how we can be courageous human beings and break the cycles. I don't know, people like to call it the black sheep or whatever. And if that's what people call it, the black sheep of the family, well, I'm absolutely that because I love to question. I love to lead with curiosity and be courageous. Yeah. I was never always like this. This only started happening when I had that car accident. And now my family's just like, oh my God, she's just on another level. But now they're coming to me and asking how they do things.
You're
And
helping. You're helping
I'm
them change.
yeah. And I was doing a talk in Geraldton last week, and one of the teachers there, she asked me, we were doing question and answer at the end, and it was the most coolest thing that I'd ever been asked. She asked me what my dad thought of the run and what he said to me when I crossed the finish line. And I shared what he said, and he said something that probably no one wants to hear after they run 14,000 kilometres. It's not what I wanted to hear, but it's everything I needed to hear.
Right.
It solidified so much more about me, that we are a movement together. We are a collective. And it's so easy to get, I guess, caught up in the more, or caught up in our own self and our own ego, that sometimes we forget about the we component. So I literally finished running 14,000 kilometres around Australia. It's been 204 days running. I crossed the finish line and I'm on a high vibe. I'm singing We're All in This Together from High School Musical. It's like totally my jam. And it's what this mission is all about. And I'm seeing hundreds of people at the finish line run through the banner, and I'm hugging everyone and I'm jumping and I'm partying. And then I see my family, and my heart just sank, because when I was out there, I missed 12 of my siblings' birthdays, my siblings and my nephew's birthdays. I missed countless of celebrations together and moments and memories. And when I hugged my dad, I hugged him so tight. It was so cool. And I just started bursting into tears. Now, my dad didn't go in to say, I'm so proud of you, kiddo, what I felt like I wanted to hear. My dad went in to say, this is so incredible, but make your mark. This is not about you. This is about us. This is about we. Get up on stage and bring it home, baby girl. And it just gave me goosebumps, because I was like, it's not about me. It's about us. But he really solidified it for me. He really brought me back down to earth, and he really grounded me.
Yeah.
And helped me remind me of my why. Now, I got up on stage, did a spill, but 3 days after the run, I'm driving along and I'm like, I just want to call my dad. So I call my dad and I'm like, hey, Dad, how you going? In my chirpy, happy, upbeat voice. And I didn't get the same response. My dad was like, hey, I'm not doing too well. And like, even saying this now, it just made me choke, because my dad had never said anything like that before.
Yeah.
But I helped him feel seen, I helped him feel heard, and I've helped him feel, I guess, courageous enough to tell me that he wasn't doing okay. And we had the most beautiful, wholesome conversation about the challenges that he's faced in his whole life.
Yeah.
And he just felt safe enough to open up to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I was taken back for a moment, but then I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, because this is, I guess, the generational stuff that we get to break, and that I'm breaking through this.
Yeah. Yeah. Could you imagine, I mean, like, think about it from the perspective, and you know, I work in child sexual abuse prevention, and I work in, like, you know, helping victim survivors, you know, speak up if they want to, or to get help if they want to. And so for me personally, like, hearing that, I can just imagine your dad's the one who thinks he has to be the strong one. Everyone has to rely on him. He's never thought he could say anything, because no one's shown him that it's safe to say something. And that's how victim survivors feel too. Like, they might have tried to say something when they were a kid and they were shut down, or this, you know, all the adults around them never showed them that it's okay to be vulnerable. And then you get to adulthood, and here we are trying to, like, this thing inside of you is so loud and angry, and wants to be heard, and wants to be seen, and wants to be healed. And so, you know, like, the average length of time, or average time between, you know, abuse and first disclosure for sexual abuse survivors is around 24 years. 24 years of pain, hurt, suffering, feeling like you did something wrong and you weren't, you know, like, no one wants to hear what you went through. But that's not really the truth. Like, we all want to be heard, seen. And so, like, to get back to what your dad was able to do, like, that's massive, huge.
Yeah. And as you just said 24 years, and that hits the nail on the head, because when a car accident happened, I was 26 years old. And for 24 years, I was carrying the story when I was sexually assaulted when I was 2.
Yeah.
And then it happened again when I was 14. And I was carrying those stories, the weight of that hurt, of that pain, of that grief inside of me for that long.
Yeah.
And then when the car accident happened, I said, enough's enough. I'm carrying these stories. It's making me feel depressed. It's making me feel anxiety riddled. I can't talk about it. Like, I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of being insecure. I'm tired of not using my voice.
Yeah.
And when that car accident happened, I was just like, just have courage. And what I realized through this whole journey is that there was a period where I did become angry at my parents.
Yeah.
Angry at my parents for, I guess, not listening to me, not holding me, not hearing me, not seeing me. And then I was like, you know what? My parents are just doing the best that they possibly can as well. And when I flipped it that way, I actually started to have so much more love, more curiosity, more gratitude, and more understanding, because
Yeah.
I realized my parents are just doing the best they can. They don't know what they don't know. And they've also got their own stories that they're holding on to.
Yeah.
And so there's some stories that I share with my parents, but I share them when I'm ready to, not
Yeah.
from a space of help me, hold me, see me. I
Yeah.
share them when I'm ready to, because I also know that they have baggage. They
Yeah.
have stories that they've never told anyone.
Yeah.
And this moment with my dad was the first moment where he opened up about one of his best mates dying by suicide. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'd never known that. And I'm almost 30.
Yeah.
I'd never known that about my dad. And yeah, so it's just amazing what happens when you focus on yourself first and you're healing yourself first. And that you're like, okay, my parents have stuff too. It's not all their fault. But now I know better. Let's do better.
Yeah. It's a level of empathy and compassion that you didn't realize. I'm in the same boat, like there was a level of anger around my parents and being, them being alcoholics and drugs and them not actually dealing with their crap and them treating me like I was the adult and like I was a parentified daughter. So I was the adult in
Yeah.
the house and, the level of neglect and abuse that went on and all of that stuff. I was angry for such a long time. And then like you, when you do that inner work and you heal yourself and you start healing yourself and you realize, wow, they've just got so much baggage that they have not dealt with and no one spoke about. And I guess from our perspective my perspective is like, okay, we get to change what happens for our kids and the next generation. And hopefully we won't again, my daughter's like, you need trauma to be like resilient. Okay, great. But we want to own up for what we didn't know and we want to own up and help heal what we can where we can. And,
and you don't want to pass that down either. Like,
no,
you
like
want to
who
pass
wants
down
to
the
pass
good.
that down?
Yeah, I think it's so ironic that my partner, he's got 2 beautiful kids, and Indy and Ollie. Indy triggers me, but triggers me in a
She's
good
you.
way. And I'm like, but because I know what I know now, I will never shut her down. And anyone who tries to shut her down, I protect her straight away. I'm like, nah, don't say that. Don't talk like that. You're not doing that. No, because I know what it's like to come back after years of shutdown. And I'm like, well, if I can help her not have to go through that, I'm going to protect her like that. But also, I'm going to show her how to stand up for herself.
Yeah. And do you know what? You were going to be like the fiercest, most loyal, like stepmom, mum, auntie, anything, because you're like, no, we do not treat kids like this. We do not shut them down. We give them a voice. I'm the same. Like I used to have arguments with my husband all the time, years gone by, when he didn't understand. Like I just was like this fierce mum. Like I was like, you do not talk to her like that. You do not like. And he'd be like, whoa. And I'm like, and if she was at school and she had to have a meeting with a principal or whatever, I would always be like, right, Charlotte has something to say. And I'd be like, okay, tell them.
Yeah, I love
like
that.
advocating for her to have her say. So, yes, okay, listen to what they have to say, but has everyone considered the whole story, because a lot of the times, and it's totally off tangent right now, but a lot of the times there's more, there's either side of the incident required to understand what's happened, right? So it could be a week before, it could be an hour before, it could be 10 minutes before, but before the incident, what happened? And sometimes the story is not just what happened in that moment, it's like either side of it. So, like I used to be like, okay, Charlotte has something to explain right now. And like, and is, and I always said, is it okay if Charlotte tells you her side of the story?
I love that. Yeah.
So, but anyway, one thing that I kept thinking about this morning when I was thinking about talking to you was like, you mentioned at the start, like, every morning at 6 a.m. your alarm would go off and you'd be like, oh, I don't want to do it again. And I guess your motto is just one more. So did you find it easier once you got started? Like that there's this, and I know from my own experiences, I hate running. I'm not a runner. and I had to run a lot in the police academy and I ended up with shin splints and plantar fasciitis. And I went to a physio and the physio was like, hey, hun, you're not built for running. That's what she said to me. And I'm like, right, fine. I'm never running again.
I don't believe that. I would challenge that.
I know, but it suited my story really well. I'm like, I'm not built for running. I don't have to run ever again. But I have run in the past. Like I've done lots of different fitness stuff over the last 16 years since I was in the police academy. But the thing that I was thinking of is like the runs where like, you know, you're just not feeling it. You just don't want to do it. Like,
yeah, it was, there was lots of days where I just didn't want to do it. And now my support crew knew, do not wake me up before 5:30. Otherwise I will not get out of bed and I will be a little bitch. So don't wake me up before 5:30.
Okay.
But, and then straight away it was like coffee, then off I go. But each morning it was so different. It was so hard. Specifically for the first 8 weeks was the hardest.
Right.
Because my body was becoming conditioned. But then it literally just got to a point. And so in the first 8 weeks, my joints were so sore, like sore to the point that every day I was pretty much just crying. And I was like, can I even do this? But then I just kept going. Now I really just focused on my mental fitness. And I was like, all you got to do is run to that pole. All you got to do is run to the caravan. All you got to do is 1 foot in front of the other. Literally, I just broke it down into the smallest things. Yeah. And when I hit the 80Ks, I was like, cool, done, go to sleep. When I ran another 10Ks, I celebrated myself. But when I got to about week 8, that's when I was like, you know what? Maybe my body can't do 80Ks every single day for 180 days. So that's when I just stripped it. And I was like, you've really got to listen to your body now. And the moment that I made that choice to listen to my body was the moment that my body responded so much better. Yep. And it started doing it with so much more ease. And I started injecting more joy into the run, and everything else became bearable and became more doable. 60Ks became an absolute breeze. 70Ks became an absolute breeze. I ran 125Ks. That became an absolute breeze because I pushed when I knew I could push, and I pulled back to 60Ks when I had to pull back. Female bodies are completely different than male bodies. So males run on a 24-hour clock. We run on like a 35-day clock, like that. So then I knew that there was going to be a week in the month where I wasn't going to be able to perform my ultimate best. But instead of bashing myself down, saying you're worthless, you're stupid, you're not going to be able to do this, I just led with grace. And I was like, you know what? You're actually about to have your period. You're in this part of your cycle now. Just pull back a little bit, eat more food, recover better, focus on your sleep. And then next week, you'll be able to hit 100-kilometer days. And I did. Running has this really, really cool effect. And I can't wait to be able to give this gift to so much more people. But it's like you hit a certain point in running, and it's different for everyone. But you hit a certain point. And to be honest, running became my therapy and how I healed through so much trauma. But you hit this certain point and you have two options. You can either fold and cave and say, I've done enough. My body's aches, my knees are aching. Or you can choose courage and keep pushing for just one more and see where your mind takes you. And then you stick with it and you see where your mind takes you. You ask yourself the deeper questions. What's this trying to teach me? What's this coming up? What story am I telling myself right now? What's ready to be released? All while you're moving forward. And it's like you go through this massive mental breakdown, and then you get this massive mental breakthrough, and you're on this massive runner's high that you're just like, I can overcome and do anything, that I could just keep running because you're just full of so much dopamine that you just keep going. And it was day 140. Would have been like a day 190. It was coming from Carnarvon. I ran into Carnarvon on the west side. So it was coming to the end of the run. But I really wanted to push myself so hard because my body was conditioned, my mind was conditioned. But I was like, I just want to know where my mind's going to take me if I say to the girls, I'm going to push myself over 100 kilometers today. I just want to see where it's going to take me. If there's any, I guess, traumas.
You're almost like, you were like seeking out that, where is my limit today? Or where
I was seeking out the pain. I literally was seeking out the internal pain to come up for me to like move through it. So I said to the girls, I was like, hey girls, I'll give you 3 days notice, but next Tuesday, we're waking up at 4 a.m. I'm going to be running from 5 a.m. As soon as crack of dawn happens, I'm going to be running until I can't run anymore. And they're like, okay. So we all agreed. We all had incredible night's sleep. We all got the preparation done. We all got the food ready because there's a whole more to it, as in like sleep cycles, preparation, food, what I have to eat a few days before. And I have to take into consideration my teammates, like what they're going through too. So I was like, Tuesday, we've all got to be on point. So this day we woke up and I just remember hitting 10 kilometers and I was like, oh yeah, feeling good. And I had Miley Cyrus to climb on repeat for the whole day. And we got to 20 kilometers and I was like, this is interesting. We got to 30, got to 40, got to 50. And I was like, still nothing. We got to 60 and I was like, what the hell? We got to 90 kilometers and it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was like, no, it was about 6 o'clock in the afternoon and we got to 90 kilometers, almost 100 kilometers. The sun started going down and I was like, where are these stories? Why are they not coming up? And at 7 o'clock that night, I ended up calling it because it was getting far too dark and there was just like no lights or anything around, just too dangerous as well. So I ended up calling it at about 7:30. I ended up running 111 kilometers that day and having so much fun. And it took me 11 hours and 40 minutes to do.
All right.
Yeah. And while I was chasing that pain to come up, nothing came up because my body and my mind was so conditioned.
It was like, we know what we're doing. We've done this for the last 6 months. Like, it's all good. It's all good.
I was so amazed. I was like, oh my God, it was so much fun. And if there was more light to the day, I would have happily kept going on. But I was just having so much fun out there.
Out of interest, were you the type of person before the accident to put your hand up to go first at things?
No way.
So you weren't the like, okay, I've got to do something like scary or making me feel anxious, I'll go first?
No. I would always go second or go back.
Let me ask, are you the type of person to put your hand up first now?
Depending what it is. If it's crazy enough, yeah. But I mean, like, if
you're
it's
chasing adrenaline and
no.
You're chasing that, like, that dopamine, adrenaline, like that, let's go. And you also, well, I found, the police, not the same extent as you, but, there was when I first got into the police academy and they made us run like 10Ks in this 40-degree day. We were doing push-ups and all sorts of sit-ups on the hard concrete, and we were running up and down hills and stuff. And it was like the first week of the academy, and I was like, they're trying to break us. Like, and I remember driving home after this, and I was like the slowest because I'm 5'1". I wasn't built for it, and I hated PT. And I remember just driving home and calling my stepsister and going, they're trying to break us. I'm giving up. And she's like, don't be stupid. You came all this way. You did the beep test all those times. You got through all of this and you're in and you're going to give up. And I mean, in the moment, I wanted to give up, right? And but there was so many times in the police academy that I was like, I just can't do this. Like, if it was mental, I was fine. Physical, blah. Physical and mental, nah. And I was like, but anyway, I got through. Obviously, I graduated. I got through. And I became a detective in 4 years. But I just remember, there is that moment. I never used to be brave, and so for me personally, being in the police actually made me brave. Like, I never, and here you are now talking in schools, talking on stages, talking about a whole movement that is you. Like, you are this movement, right? And in my case, it's kind of me as well, because I left the police with this burning desire to help people understand and to help them prevent abuse where they can and when they can. And so it's like, it's almost taken over me. It's literally what I wake up to do, breathe, sleep. I can't stop thinking about it. And it's 6 years on now, and I'll bet you'll be the same.
Yeah, but you'll do whatever it takes to do this mission. You'll do whatever it takes to prevent children being harmed. You'll do whatever it takes to do your mission. And come back to goal setting and running and stuff. Like right now, if someone said, go run a marathon, I'll be like, nah, that's boring. Why would I do that? No way.
Go run an ultra marathon.
I'll be like, nah, like, what's the point? But then if someone goes to me and like, this is, I guess, jumping ahead, but like, what's in the future for us? Go run around Tasmania. Oh, hell yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because it's attached to my mission, it's attached to my vision, and it's attached to my why. I'm like, a marathon's just a marathon. Everyone's doing that. That's boring. No way. I'll go run around Tasmania, and then I'll do New Zealand, and then all of this stuff, because it's connected to my mission, and I will literally do whatever it takes. And I think the one thing that I really love about your work, Kristi, and what Just One War is, and highly aligned, is we don't fucking sugarcoat it. Like, try not to. Because I believe if we want real change in the world, the change comes from the truth. And if we first can't handle the truth, well, then there's no fucking change. It's just all this awareness, blasé, dancing around the fire. Like, we know it's a problem, so we have to shine light on the truth and then bring the prevention into it, because we
Yeah.
know that we can make the change, but it first starts with the truth. And some people just don't like the truth. And that's
Yeah.
one thing that I love about the work that you do. It's like, it's a real issue. So let's learn and teach parents to prevent it,
Yeah.
and give them the prevention techniques instead of how to heal from it. It's like,
Yeah.
your daughter says, yes, we need trauma. Yes, we do. But we
Yeah,
can
we'd
prevent
rather not
things.
do that to get trauma. I agree with you. And I think it's something that comes up a lot. And I actually had a question yesterday because I put up a post about the AFP and Australian Centre to Counter Child Exploitation has put up a picture of a bracelet on a child's wrist. And what they do in their work is they obviously see child abuse material and child sexual abuse exploitation material, and they're trying to identify victims from key things in the video. Like they will screenshot like a bracelet or a blanket, and they're trying to get people's help in identifying it so they can find the victims. It's a massive job, and it's a hard job for those people that work in that space. And I always share them because I know how important they are. And someone said to me yesterday, how are you still doing this? How do you keep going knowing what you know, and how, like, with everything that's going on in the world right now, and and I sat with it for a bit because, like sometimes I'm sure you'll go through it as well. Sometimes you go, oh, it's just too big. This mission
Yeah.
is too big. Like, it's too hard. Like, no one's listening, or you feel like no one's getting it. And then when I sat with it, and I remember when I first wrote my book, and I'm guessing there's a book coming from you, by the way, if there's not one already. Anyways, and I sat with it, and I remember the day that I finished writing my book, and I burst into tears, and my daughter came in and she was like, "What are you crying for, Mum?" And it was like the 13th of December. I stopped writing and I looked at the screen. I was like, shit, I fucking finished. And then, like I said, burst into tears. It was like an overwhelming sense of like, oh my God, I'm done. Like, this is 2 years of my life and I'm finished. She came in and she goes, what's wrong? And I was like, I finished my book. And she said, Mum, you're going to change the world.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I just remember thinking, I just wanted to save one kid.
Yeah.
I just want to save one kid. And that's what I tell myself. So when I was thinking about how do I keep going, I just focus. All everyone can do is focus on their family, their children, their little community, their next door neighbor's kids, or their next door neighbor, or their dad, or the people around you. That's all you can do is focus on that. And everyone who focuses on one more person is actually creating like this flow-on effect, this ripple. And it's exactly like what you've created in your just.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you throw a stone in a water, it's all the ripples around. Like, we are the one stone, we chuck it in, we do our best bit,
Yeah.
and then that just keeps rippling on. And I guarantee that in the moments that you may feel like that, I feel like that sometimes too. I see the suicide rates increasing. I find out about 15-year-olds, about 12-year-olds get these messages. Yeah, messages come through all the time. But then I get messages saying, hey, just one more helped me. Hey, you've saved my life in this. And I'm like, that's what outweighs it, because I could focus on the lack, or I could focus on the one more person. And that's, I guess, what we choose to focus on. And when we are in those places, like I literally have a folder in my phone, and I call it feel good messages. And when I need to, because I'm bombarded with, I guess, darkness, I go into those messages and I'm like, okay, help this person, help this person. Me running, help this person. My podcast is helping this person. And I read those messages again.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I want to, I think you'll agree. I just want parents and people every day, anyone, to realize that if you just focus on your little world, because the world is so big, we can't help 8-point-something billion people. We can only help the people that live right here in your space right now, your family, your partner, your children, your neighbors, your whoever it is that is in your world. And we can't change what happens to each and every one person, but we can help them in that moment. And I look back on my own experiences. I don't know about you, Brooke, but when I was a kid and I felt like I had no one. There's one or two people in my life that were like a lighthouse in my life. I was a teenager who didn't have anyone to talk to, felt so alone. And I remember, sitting in my bedroom crying about how unfair the life. And every teenager does this, right? I'm sure of it. But I was in my bedroom and I was crying and I was thinking I don't want to be here anymore. No one cares if I'm here or not. Luckily for me, there was this one person. She was I had horses, which was another saving grace for me. But she came and picked me up to take me to the horses, and she was so happy all the time. And, she just was this lighthouse. She loved me. She just loved me for being me. And she wasn't even my family. She was a neighbor. And, and I look back on her, and I've written her a letter since, and I've basically told her that she was the one that got me through my childhood and sometimes you might be that person for someone. You might just be the person that speaks up and says, I can tell you're not feeling so, I've just noticed you're not feeling so great right now. And you tell me if I'm wrong. It's okay if I've got it wrong, but I've just noticed that you're just not, you don't seem like you're that happy right now, or, whatever it is. So I think what you're doing and what I do is so important in the world because we need to remind people to just focus on themselves and the people in their lives.
Yeah, and I love how you just said that she wasn't a part of your family, immediate family. I think sometimes we expect our family to be able to give and show up and understand us and understand, I guess, our mental health and what we're going through when they're going through their own shit. They got their own world that they're creating. And sometimes your lighthouse my lighthouse was my teacher.
Yeah.
I thought I would never say that, but she still is my lighthouse.
Yeah.
On turn, I've now become her lighthouse, and she implements just one more into her life, into the divorce that she's been going through over the last 3 years, into the healing journey that she's been going through over the last 3 years. And I'm like, that's so cool, because that one teacher believed in me. Yeah, I wasn't a grade A student. Other teachers called me a misfit. Other teachers thought I was a mischief kid, got D's, all of this stuff. But she was my English teacher, and I somewhat excelled in her English class because she believed in me. She seen me. And it wasn't like, you have to get A's, you have to do this, you have to do that. It was like, you're something special, kid.
Yeah. And you are. Look at you.
Yeah.
Look what you're doing. I bet you any money she saw you and she was like, I knew it.
She was at the finish line, both runs, and buying my merch and all of that. And I'm like, Yuzi, what the hell? So, yeah, it's a very cool 360 moment. But your lighthouse doesn't have to be your immediate family. It could just be that one person who sees you. And you never know, in turn, what you shining your light does for them as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I also had a teacher that was like that, and she knew that I was going through stuff at home, and she knew that it wasn't great. And, that's what I often tell when I do teacher presentations or training to teachers or even early childhood educators, anyone who works with kids. You don't realize how much power you have in changing a child's life and what you could be doing for that person. So some people see that disruptive kid and that, naughty kid, but maybe that kid just is waiting for someone to see them and just needs them to be seen. And so I just love that you had that, and she's still around supporting you.
She's still around. We do CrossFits up together sometimes. She comes to the finish lines of my run.
That's
so
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. That is amazing. So, Brooke, I think the best thing that people can do is follow you, because you absolutely are a powerhouse woman. I'm in awe of you. I think you're amazing. I think everything you've done has been soul driven. It's like it had to all happen the way it happened so that you could be here today sharing this mission. But I can imagine schools, kids, they must think you're amazing. You're a superwoman when they hear your story.
Yeah, it's really funny, talking to the kids. They're like, Miss, how many shoes did you go through? Miss, did you really run that way? Miss, what shoes did you wear? And sometimes, when I was going around Australia, I went and spoke to the school kids, and I would go into the class and I'll just wear my high socks and my Crocs. And the kids are like, do you run in your Crocs? And I was like, well, let's go to the Oval and go for a run. And I think that's the coolest thing, is being able to get on their level. But now, this stage of the journey is more sharing about the Just One More, exactly where I started from, and what my school life was like, and how words created my worlds,
Yeah.
and sharing more about the mission. So people can absolutely follow along on my
Yeah.
personal page and more so on the Just One More, the movement page, and support that way and support
Yeah.
all the upcoming events that we do have coming out this year.
I'll definitely share all of this in the show notes. And so to just be 100% sure, where's the best place to follow you if they want to follow your journey and what you're bringing into the world and what you're creating?
At Just One More dot the movement. Yeah, Just One More dot the movement. We are on Instagram and Facebook, so please follow along on there, and everything is all over there.
Yeah, and you're so I can't wait to meet you in person. We used to live in the same state, for goodness sakes. But
I ran past you.
I know, and do you know what? I wasn't even in Bunbury at the time. I was in Perth, and I was like, "What?" Because I remember Heidi putting it out there, and like, anyone down south, and I was like, "I'm gonna be up there." But yeah, it just happens the way. And in fact, I was over in over the other side of the country. I was over in Brisbane or something when you were running, but you just passed Brisbane and you're higher, and I was going to try and catch up to you, but I just couldn't get there. Like I was like,
Too fast.
Yeah, too fast. Do you run every day now? That's my last question.
No, I know. Since finishing, it's been almost 5 months. I can't believe it. But no, my joints don't like running right now.
No,
I'm almost
they're
at
in
the stage
recovery.
where I can, they're varying recovery. I'm almost at the stage where I can run 1 kilometre, 2 kilometres, but I can't even do 5Ks yet. So that's been taking a toll.
You
But
thrashed your body. You
I
thrashed it.
thrashed my joints. But I'm into yoga and Pilates right now, which is a real different
Amazing.
stage, but it's nice.
Your body needs that extra like love and relaxation and stress, like not so much impact, I think. And I learned that the hard way when I got off my 130. And there's nothing like what you did, but that was a hard mental task as well. And I read a study, just to go off topic for a second, I read a study that said the more challenge that you put in your life, the better your brain health is. And so, you know, if you have, and I'm not talking about challenges that aren't your choice, like I'm talking about challenges like doing something different, like making yourself, you know, something a little hard that has to create greater neuro pathways, your like dementia and things like that. And you have less better brain health, longevity, and all sorts of stuff. So I wouldn't suggest anyone taking up 14,000 kilometre run around Australia. But hey, if you want to, contact Brooke.
I'll be there to support you every step of the way.
All right, Brooke, thank you so much. And like I said, I will put every bit of your information in the show notes for everyone so they can follow you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me on, and chat soon.
Yeah. Before you step back into your day, I want to pause for a moment. Conversations like this with Brooke can stir things up, especially if part of her story felt familiar. If you're feeling heavy, unsettled, or emotional right now, please know you're not weak. You are human and you don't have to carry it alone. I have linked support services and resources in the show notes, and I encourage you to reach out if you need to. Brooke's work through the Just One More movement is also linked below. Please follow along and support the work she's doing in the world. And remember, you don't have to fix everything today. You just have to take one more step. Please go and get support if you need it, and I'll see you next time.